So I'd like to welcome everyone to our summer camp planning workshop. Tonight, there's 3 presenters. So it'll be myself doing some general camp planning information from KidsAbility. Then Heather Granger will be talking about the city of Guelph camps. And then Jen will be talking about the SCIC program. And then we'll have a question and answer period at all. I would allow you, if you need to, use the chat, and we will start our presentation. So as I said, welcome to our summer camp planning workshop. And my slides. Oh, here we go. So one of the first things we talk about are what are the steps that you need to do when you are planning for summer camp for your child. One of the first things you want to consider is what are your needs. So as parents, those of us that are working or not working, you want to think of the number of weeks that you need camp for. You need to look at your drop-off logistics. What are your job responsibilities, and so look at those drop-off, pickup logistics, and then look at your financial consideration. So a lot of us base our first step is on what we can manage and what we can do. The next thing you want to look at is what are the goals for your child. So some people want to, even though they may not need camp for because they're working, they want their child to have social interaction, fun, skill building. So kind of think of what do you hope that your child gets in summer camp? The next thing you really want to consider is what are your child's support needs. Some kids can integrate into a camp no problem. Some need lower camper to staff ratio, and some need one-to-one support. So you need to think about what are your child's support needs. Then you start your research. After you've thought of those 3 things, you're going to start your research and select camps that are a good fit for your child as well as yourself. And then you're going to, these kind of come hand in hand. What is your funding plan? And then you're actually going to register and then provide the camp with the information they need. So those are kind of the steps that we look at initially when you are doing your summer camp planning. So talked about the first 2 already. So now I want to look into support needs and dive into that a little bit more. And so if your child requires extra support to attend camp, there are camps that offer 1-to-1, 2-to-1, or 3-to-1 support. There is our Supporting Kids in Camp program that Jennifer will talk about later, where you can get a worker to go to camp. Some of you may have special service at home funding where you can hire a worker, or some families just find their own worker, whether it's me or something like that. So those are kind of your options to provide support. So if you're using the camp or SCIC, the Supporting Kids in Camp inclusion staff, the first thing you want to know, this is what the camp's inclusion staff are able to provide. And when I say that, so some inclusion camps will provide personal support needs, personal care needs, and some camps inclusion staff will not. So if your child needs help with toileting or diaper changing, that kind of thing, you need to find out if the camp does that. You're going to apply for your worker if the camp provides it as soon as registration opens, if it's a camp inclusion staff. If possible, prior to summer, you're going to meet with inclusion staff so that the staff can meet your child, or you can get a photo or a name to help prepare your child. It's really important to prepare your child as much as possible, letting them know that they'll be spending a week with someone new, as well as giving the camp as much information as possible about your child. That helps for success. So a little bit about what camps do have formal inclusion programs. The city of Guelph does, and Heather will speak about their programs. The Rainbow Day Camp, you can get 1 week with their inclusion staff. Camp Briba has an inclusion program as well, and you can get 1 week there. And the YMCA does have one. It's called the Camp Access Program. This one, the YMCA does not provide support for personal care needs. The other 3 do. There's at this point in time, there's limited space available at the Y, but it's worth calling and asking if that's something you're interested in. Those of you that don't live in Guelph, North Wellington has shared that they don't have a formal inclusion program, but they often have staff that can provide some extra support. So with the Neighborhood Association Center Wellington, which is your Fergus Aurora and your Arthur Mount Forest, definitely contact Wellington North and Center Wellington, as well as your Neighborhood Association, asking what support they have. They're not an informal, they're not a formal inclusion program, but a lot of them will provide some support. Obviously, SCIP is a big one, and Jennifer will talk about that, but it's you can get a one-to-one worker for any camp in Guelph-Wellington. The other thing to consider if your child doesn't need one-to-one is to consider as what we call a specialized camp, a camp with a low camper to staff ratio. A couple that there are 3 kind of main ones in Guelph-Wellington. So Perry's Place for kids with autism have in-person and online camps with a 3-to-1 ratio. Heather will talk about what she's got with the city, and then the Rainbow Day Camp has some specialized ones, camps just for teens, age 12 to 18. So a couple notes, if you are providing your own one-to-one support worker, definitely connect to the staff of the camp about that. Last summer, the ratios really mattered with COVID. With the announcement that came out yesterday, we definitely see there are some changes coming, but still you need to connect with the camp about sending your own support worker. You also need to connect with the camp to see if they have any requirements about who can be the support worker. Some camps, there's an age, some camps it can be a family member, some can't. Some have to have be like an ECE or a university age or a certain degree. So definitely talk to the camp about that. Start your search early if you're looking for someone. So whether it's your SSH working, an EA at school, a babysitter, those are some options that families have used in the past. And the other thing is provide as much information as possible to the support worker about your child and to the camp so that they'll be prepared. Okay, so when you're looking at selecting a camp, you want to set your child up for success. So when we look at camps, we look at day camps and we look at overnight options. An overnight camp is more likely to be an older child versus a 5-year-old. There's not a lot of 5-year-olds that want to stay away from home. Some parents are comfortable with overnight camps, some are not. So again, those are the different kinds of camps. We also talk about inclusive camps or specialized camps. So inclusive camps are camps where your child is integrated into a camp setting, and specialized camps are camps designed for children with special needs and programmed for that. They're often the low ratio camps. You want to look at whether the camp offers inclusion support, what the staff are trained to provide for behavior, safety, personal care, integration. Again, we talked about this. You want to look at if you can provide your own worker. When you're looking at a camp, consider the camp environment. So if your child doesn't do well in large groups, ask those kind of questions. So is it a camp with large groups versus small groups? Is it only indoors? Is it outdoors? Is it structured versus flexible and supervised? So that the camp environment, try to pick a camp environment that will set your child up for success. And then If your child loves swimming and hates music and you put them in a music camp, try to pick a camp that you know the activities will be motivating for your child. So if they love music, if there's a camp that has a lot of music, that would be a great camp for your child. If they like sports, there may be a camp that does a lot more of those kind of things. If your child has some, we look at accessibility, so the environment, but also the facilities. So the physical accessibility of a camp, but also the sensory accessibility of a camp are things to consider. Big question we get is, where do I find camp information? And it's a bit of a puzzle to put all the pieces together. And if your child needs that extra one-on-one support, there's a certain number of weeks you can get it at each camp. So you're kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. On our KidsAbility website, we have come up with a camp directory, and the camp directory lists camps in Guelph-Wellington, Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo, and all of Waterloo region. So if you happen to be close to the border Waterloo region, or you work in another area, it's a place you can look at camps. There is this session, when it is recorded under this KidsAbility camp information, there is a handout with some information about camps. There's the recordings of our camp fair, so that's another place to look. Obviously, the city of Guelph has their information on their website. The Guelph Y is now part of the YMCA of Three Rivers, which is Guelph, Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Stratford. So all of their camps are under one website now. So that's one place to look, as well as the Guelph Neighborhood Association. They offer camps. In Arthur, Mount Forest, Ferguson, and Laura, you're going to look at Wellington North and Center Wellington, as well as connecting with other parents. So another place you can look at, besides checking out those websites, is you can look at a virtual camp fair. So these are posted. The overnight camps, which is Waterloo region and beyond, was held on January 10th. That recording is available on the KidsAbility website, as well as day camps 4 to 12, and that was Waterloo region and beyond. So you can hear about Rainbow Camp, you can hear about Carrie's Place Camp, you can hear about Sunrise horseback riding, you can hear about the city. So there was a bunch of the Guelph camps that were at that camp fair. And then we have one more camp fair coming up, which is Monday, February 28th, for those that are 13 and older. And again, that is Waterloo region, Guelph-Wellington. So any of those teen camps. You register on our website, and you can also pop me an email if you can't find that. So as far as the other question, after you found your camp and you want to look at some funding stuff. So if your child has autism, you can apply to the Children's Respite Flexible Funding. The deadline to apply is March the 13th, and that is on Carrie's Place website. There's also, and it's done by a lottery. There's also, if your child has autism, you can apply to Autism Ontario. That funding has not opened up yet. If your child has cerebral palsy, you can apply to the LEAF funding, the Life Enrichment Activity funding. Muscular Dystrophy Canada has funding, and the if your child has Down syndrome, there is funding through the Camp Bursary application. This one's a little bit different than the rest. It does not pay for the camp. It only pays if you need to hire a one-to-one, or if there's an extra cost to camp to hire their one-to-one staff. To look at your special services at home funding, you can use this year's dollars to pay for camps that will be happening in the summer. March 31st is the budget year. So April 1st, you will get your new allotment. So if you have money left over, you can use that to pay for this summer's campus, or use your money when it comes April 1st. If you have your autism childhood budget, you can also use camps under the respite, the camp pay for camp as respite. There are also income-based funding options. So in Guelph-Wellington, we have our free to grow option for residents of Guelph-Wellington. Jumpstart will occasionally fund camps, but they have to be physically active camps. The Y of Three Rivers, which is the Guelph Y, has a fee assist program. Then there is parent outreach worker program in these three neighborhoods, so Brant, Two Rivers, and Granger East, and they help look at if there's funding or if they can find some as well for you. And then there is the Children's Early Years Division that has funding for those that qualify up to age 12. The children up to age 12. Okay, the other big piece that I can't stress enough is sharing of the information. So it's really important that you share information with the camps. So we believe that every child is unique, and the more information you share, the more it helps them be successful. So what I recommend, and I know a lot of places have adopted this, is to create an all about me form. And so I have an example. This is what an all about me form looks like. So you're going to give a little background, sensory considerations, how you communicate, things that motivate you. These are just kind of the categories. And so what one looks like when it's done, this is a fictitious child. And so it's just kind of a snapshot that you can provide the recreational leaders or the camp leaders a 1-page or 2-page snapshot on strategies so that they can quickly, oh, why was that? It's like, yeah, they're really motivated by My Little Pony and Frozen, but I just asked them to stand up in front of a group and they froze. Okay, it's because they have difficulty with that. And then we can look at what strategy. So if you can provide the camp with that, it helps the leaders successfully provide the support the child needs. So we've given all the information with camp. We've helped prepare the camp. It's also important to prepare your child to go to summer camp. So to talk about going to camp. If you can go on the website and look at photos of where the camp is going to be, if you can share some social media, if they have a Facebook page or a Twitter account, so you can see a little bit about what the camp looks like. Consider visiting the camp. That's not always possible these days, but if it is, consider visiting the camp. Request a weekly schedule in advance to help your child prepare. We sometimes talk about writing a social story. So it's just a story about, oh, I'll be going to camp. I'm going to meet my worker. And some of the camps, if you can ask for a picture, you a picture with the mask, PPE on, a picture without. This is who's going to be working with me. We're going to have fun. We're going to go swimming. We're going to do so that kind of social story. And I think if you stay positive and optimistic, that will help your child prepare for their new adventures. So in conclusion, for my part, we really believe that a child will thrive in the environment that is best suited for them. The more interesting, meaningful connections they make at camp, the fewer challenges and behaviors they'll have. Again, this one I can't stress enough, but it's really important to be as open as possible with the camp when they ask for information. The right camp will welcome everything about your child, and the more information the camp has, the better prepared they can be and the better weeks for your child. So we set them up for success. If you're finding you need more help, so whether it's in the planning part, you can book a consult with myself at KidsAbility, and we can kind of go through putting those puzzle pieces together. If you're having a challenge, your child's struggling during the summer, again, you can call us and we can kind of problem solve with you and with the camp. So I am going to stop my share and I'm going to turn it over to Confidence, some spot on here. Okay.
Thanks, Cheryl. So yeah, my name's Heather Granger, and I am the inclusion coordinator for the city of Guelph. I've started into this position just in January, so I'm brand new to the city of Guelph. However, I worked for many years. There may be some familiar faces that I see, but I've worked for many years at KidsAbility in the same role that Cheryl's in as a recreation therapist. So I'm really looking forward to supporting City of Guelph camps. And yeah, we'll share my presentation because I'll be talking about what we have to offer families. There we go. Okay. So I'll start off by just talking a little bit about general camp information in terms of what all families can expect from City of Guelph camps, and then I'll speak specifically about the inclusion options that we have. So generally, City of Guelph camps start at 8:30 and they go until 5 o'clock. Our programming is scheduled from 9 to 4. For our integrated camps at this time, now Cheryl and I were just talking about this in terms of these are ratios from last year. So I don't anticipate that these will change with COVID guidelines, but at this point, ratios are 15 campers to 2 in a cohort with 2 leaders and 1 team leader. The fees for City of Guelph camp range from $203 to $369. We have a couple specialized camps that I'll talk about that are at a higher rate. Our camps are located across the city. So we have camps at the West End Community Center, Victoria Road Rec Center, Guelph Sports Dome, and an outdoor camp at Guelph Lake Sports Field. So our integrated camp options, again, sorry, I should mention that going onto the City of Guelph website tomorrow, as of tomorrow, you'll be able to see all of the camp options and the weeks that they are, because all of these vary in terms of when they're offered throughout the summer. But you can see we have lots and lots of camp options in terms of integrated camps. We've got arts camp, we've got a kiddie camp for the younger age group, creative crafts. West End Adventure Camp is a bit of a mixed bag of typical camp activities. We've got some outdoor adventure camps. We also have a few camps focused around swimming. We've got a 2-week swim camp where your child would receive a swim lesson each day. And then I had mentioned we have some of our specialized camps, film camp and stop motion animation Lego. So you can see there's quite a wide variety. And going back to what Cheryl said in terms of really, it's great if you can think about what your child is interested in. If they love swimming, then swim camp might be a good option. If they're really into arts and crafts, we have some of those as well. So some really great options to consider. Talking generally about our summer camp staff and the requirements that we have, all of our camp staff need to be ages 16 and plus, and all of them complete police and vulnerable sector checks. We also have a mandatory vaccination policy, so all staff that work at the City of Guelph need to be vaccinated. And all staff, inclusion counselors and camp counselors, receive 50 hours of staff training, and that includes a variety of topics, including program design and modifications, behavior management, safety and emergency procedures, inclusion standards. And all staff as well come with receive current first aid, have current first aid qualifications, and also training in High Five, which is principles of healthy child development. We also hire inclusion staff. So we hire, and I'll talk a little bit more about our specialized camp programs, but we hire staff that are matched one-to-one with campers that are attending any of our integrated camps. And then we also hire inclusion counselors who are responsible for running some of our more specialized camps. And the inclusion staff that receive some additional training in addition to the other staff training in personal care, program adaptations, training on sensory needs, lifting and transferring, and behavior management. So those staff receive some extra training so that they're able to support those needs. So what all families can expect from City of Guelph camps. All families will receive communication a week prior with reminders and intro to camp staff. You'll get information specifically about the camp that you've that you've registered for. I talked a little bit about the groups. So the groups are in right now in a ratio of 15. And those cohorts will stay together the entire day. As everyone knows, all of these COVID guidelines are changing. I think we've had an announcement yesterday, so some of those details could be changing based on that. In terms of for campers that have additional support needs, families will be asked to fill out an intake form. And again, this goes back to what Cheryl was stressing around providing information ahead of time about your child. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide, but just again, I would completely agree. The more information you can share about strategies that work, things that motivate your child, any triggers or things that we should be aware of that may lead to behaviors or your child getting anxious, that information we collect ahead of time through an intake form. And that is reviewed by me. And then also I use that to determine, to make sure that we have the right type of support match for your child. And that information is also shared with the inclusion staff and camp staff that will be working with your child. So, and of course, families can expect to have lots of activity, fresh air, new friends, and lots of fun. Let's go. So talking specifically about inclusion and supports, one thing we talk about is to look at when you're considering camps or any recreation program for your child, is thinking about, is your child group ready? So we've got a little bit of a checklist, and also make sure that you're aware when you're thinking about this, is my child group ready? We're talking about, you know, your child may be able to do lots of these things independently, or they may need extra support with one-to-one support. So thinking about, is your child able to take direction and instruction from a staff person? Are they comfortable and able to interact in a group environment? And we also look at, are they able to participate in the program? And we know that participation varies and participation looks different for every child. But thinking about, you know, is your child comfortable with participating with at least 50% of the program? And just thinking about, is your child able to interact and participate in the program in a way that's safe for themselves and for others? And again, that's to say that some, you know, many children will need support with this, but just thinking about that concept of being group ready for our summer camps. And thinking about, when you're looking at City of Guelph camps, does my child need support in City of Guelph camps? And thinking about, is extra support required at school or for home or basic care? Is there a diagnosed physical, medical, or developmental disability? And does the participant belong to a support agency? So those are some of the guidelines that are now up on our website in terms of for families thinking about and questioning whether your child needs that extra support and whether you should be requesting it when you're registering. So talking about specifically inclusion support, so one-to-one. So we do have, as Cheryl mentioned, one-to-one support available for campers that need it. And this is for any of our integrated camp programs that I had mentioned across City of Guelph. So these one-to-one facilitators are paid camp counselors, and they're available at no extra cost, and it is based on availability. So at this time, we're saying families are eligible to receive a maximum of up to 4 weeks of support over the summer. Based on registration, based on staffing resources, there may be a potential that we can offer more than 4 weeks for families that are looking for that. But we want to try and provide support to as many families as possible. So one-to-one facilitators with the City of Guelph can provide program adaptations, redirection for safety reasons, opportunities for short sensory breaks. So in an integrated camp, if your child needs a short break out in the hall or going for a little walk before they come back to the group, then that's something that a one-to-one facilitator can work with. can certainly support. And then help with basic personal care needs. So if your child does need support with toileting, basic feeding supports, that one-to-one facilitator is able to provide that. Cheryl also talked about personal support workers. Certainly they are more than welcome. Families may send their own personal support workers. We do have a support worker agreement form that families will be required to fill out. And I would just encourage in terms of if you have a support worker or a babysitter or a family member to read, that would be a conversation with me to determine if that's something that we can facilitate, but certainly we are welcoming of support workers and just have that agreement form that families would be required to fill out ahead of time. So accessing one-to-one support. So you'll see on our City of Guelph website on the inclusion page, this information is also on there, and there is some steps in terms of that. So you're going to log into Rec Enroll, which is our registration system that the City of Guelph uses for all of our summer camps and any recreation program that you register. You'll see there's a whole bunch of different categories, and you're going to navigate to the summer camp page. And on that summer camp page, you'll see every week 1 to 9 has a one-to-one support code that you're going to click on. So you're going to first identify the week that you're looking to send and register for that. After that, you'll be prompted to enter in your preferred location, and it'll have a listing of all of the camps. So you're going to then select your camp that you're wanting to send your child to. And that will be a prompt that comes through as you're doing that registration process. So you then can register week by week, again, with a maximum of 4 weeks of one-to-one support. You're going to complete the registration and payment. So once that is completed, you'll get an email from me, which will have an intake form. It'll be a fillable form. We are looking to have that on our website where you can fill it out online and then submit it electronically. We're not sure if that's going to be ready yet, but regardless, you will receive either there'll be a link on our website or you'll receive an email with that intake form that you're going to fill out. And again, going back to what Cheryl said, this intake form is really important. It will allow you to provide information on the strengths and interests that your child has, personal care needs, behavior needs, support needs, and it will really help to give me a good picture or snapshot of the type of support that your child needs, and will help me with matching that to the right staffing support that we'll have available. So that form will be sent to me, and then you'll be contacted to confirm the one-to-one match. And then I was also going to talk just before in terms of our intake process. So I will review that intake form and then also contact families to have a further conversation. So there may be more information that I might be looking for that we'll just have a conversation with over the phone. And we, if needed, we will likely set up a time where you can meet your one-to-one counselor or have a phone call with them ahead of time. So you'll have that chance, especially if this is valuable to your child, if they're anxious about coming and want to know a little more about what to expect, we can certainly facilitate that in terms of supporting your child with being ready and giving you the information that you need to work with the one-to-one counselor. So moving on, just talking about specialized camp programs. So these were also mentioned briefly by Cheryl. So we have a couple specialized camp programs. And so these ones are for children or youth who require an adapted program beyond our integrated camps. So these programs offer smaller groups and higher staff to camper ratio and some flexible programming to meet various needs of participants. So we will have a maximum of 9 campers in the group, and it will be a 3-to-1 ratio of staff, and we'll have staff with some additional training. The programming will look a little different in terms of some of the activities will include sensory play, active games, swimming and outdoor time. And it'll be a little more structured, but then also, you know, for children that need longer breaks from structured programming, that will be able to be facilitated. So if your child really needs a lot of support in a group environment, these camps would be a good choice for them, because staff will have a little more flexibility to give those longer breaks and to be a little more flexible with programming. So we have, for these specialized camps, we are offering Kids on the Move, which is the first time we've offered this with the city of Guelph, and that will be offered 4 weeks of the summer. So you can see weeks 1, 2, 5, and 6. Again, all of this information will be up on our website tomorrow. So Kids on the Move is for ages 4 to 12. It's at Victoria Road Rec Center, and the programming hours are from 9 to 3 for this camp. And then we have Youth on the Move, which we've offered in the past. This summer, it's going to be offered as well 4 weeks of the summer. So week 3, 4, 7, and 8. And this is for older campers, ages 13 to 21. Again, it is at the Victoria Road Rec Center and runs from 9 to 4. And so this camp, again, will have that higher level of support, but will be more youth-led and obviously have programming that is targeting that older age group of campers. Okay, so just a little more information about registration. So I mentioned you'll be able to see all of the information about the camps and when they're available and what weeks they're offered by tomorrow on our website. And then our registration opens to all families on Wednesday, March 9th at 7:30 a.m. The easiest way will be to register online following this link. You can certainly as well call. We have our registration line that will be open if you prefer to register over the phone. And I've put my contact information there. So certainly if you have questions or are not sure about which camp would be the right fit for your child, I would really encourage you to reach out, send me an email or give me a call. And I'm more than happy to have further discussion with you specifically about your child and what you're looking for and help to find the best support possible. And then just in terms of, I know we're really aiming to support families, and we know every child is unique, every family is unique. So just encouraging you, if you have questions, to reach out and we can have that conversation and try to our best to meet your support needs with the resources that we have.
Okay, thanks, Heather. I am going to turn it over to Jennifer, and she is going to share all about the SCIC program.
All right, let me just share my screen here. All right, did that work? Are you able to see that?
Yes, all is good.
Yeah, okay. All right. So my name is Jennifer Hughes Jaya. I work with the Canadian Mental Health Association. I'm currently the coordinator of the Supporting Kids in Camp program. So we'll kind of go through a little bit about what the program looks like, who we support, etc. So the Supporting Kids in Camp program provides children who have special needs with trained and experienced one-to-one workers for 1 week in the summer, so that they may attend specialized or integrated community camps. And there is no cost to families to access the SCIC program. So in terms of eligibility, if you have a child under the age of 18 with 2 of the following, either a behavioral, physical, or cognitive challenges, you live in the Guelph-Wellington region, and you are wanting to attend a day camp that is also within the Guelph-Wellington region. If you have questions as to whether the camp falls within our boundaries, I have a map on the SCIC page. I'll give you the link later on, or feel free to reach out as well if you have any questions, or if your child needs support for successful inclusion. Children who are clients of CMHA but may may not meet the above criteria, but also need inclusion support, they may be eligible with a referral from their CMHA worker or clinician. So I'd encourage you to reach out to the worker that you are connected to, or reach out to myself and we can work through that. So supporting kids in camp, I believe the program has existed for over 10 years. And so we've worked with quite a few camps in the region. These are some of the camps that we've supported in the past. Rainbow, City of Guelph, several neighborhood groups, Griffin Activity Camp, Sunrise Therapeutic Riding Center, Eldora Center for the Arts, Township of Center Wellington, Creative Encounters with Science, Bulldog Interactive Fitness, Camp Brebeuf, YMCA camps, and a few other local camps each year. One of our main criteria is that the camps support inclusion and support the inclusion of children who need that extra support. So in terms of support, the SCIC child and support, and we'll be supporting them using a variety of strategies and adaptations. And these things are things that, as Cheryl had discussed with the About Me, and I'll talk about the One Form a little bit later on. And they're able to provide support during the regular program hours. So please let us know what time your child will be arriving and departing from camp. And we're not typically able to provide support during extended hours of camp. If you are needing support during that time, please reach out and we'll have a conversation with you and with the camp, and we'll go from there. So our support counselors, they are 18 years and older. They have experience working with children who have exceptionalities. The majority of them are university students who have a background and are studying child development or children and families. Before camp starts, so during the month of June, we provide 2 weeks of extended training about inclusion, adaptations in programming, sensory needs, lifting and transferring, similar to what Heather described with her inclusion staff as well. All of our staff have first aid, go through a vulnerable sector check, then we check references as well. And then this year, vaccination is required, like COVID vaccination. So in terms from your perspective on how to apply, so first we ask you to register for your camp to ensure that you have a space. And then second, there's 2 parts to our application. The first is the SCIC online form. And then there is the One Form, which will be returned to the program coordinator. And then I will reach out to the camp if it's a camp that we haven't supported in the past to ensure that they are committed to the philosophy of inclusion, and then we'll acceptance. So I'll go through these in a little bit more depth. So with registration, it's first come, first serve. So we encourage you to register early. And there are 2 parts to the application. So registration opens April 1st this year at 12 p.m. The website is here. You'll find all the information for forms, etc. On our site. So our online application will ask for your contact information, your child's diagnosis, ask you to choose your first and your second choice of weeks for support, and then the camp contact information. Sorry, I think I had that in twice. Okay. In that application, when you are choosing your first and your second week of your choices, if the week is not available in the drop-down menu, that means that it's currently full. If you wish, you can be put on a waiting list for your preferred week. Just let us know in the information in the application. So Rainbow Camp uses a similar One Form. So to save you having to fill in multiple forms over and over again, there's a checkbox in our online application if Rainbow will send us your One Form, or there's an additional checkbox if you would like SCIC to share your One Form or a modified version with your child's camp. And just so you know, we won't share any information without your verbal. This is what application looks like. Over the next few slides, I will show you. So ask for your child's name, their diagnosis, your contact information. Here in the box, we ask for your first and your second week's preference. So this is why we ask you to register for camps first. That way you can determine what weeks you're still needing support with. And then indicate which camp you're requesting support with, as well as the camp contact information, so that we're able to contact the camp if we need to. And then finally here at the bottom, indicating about the one form, whether we'll receive it from Rainbow if you happen to be applying there, or if you would like us to share the one form with the camp. This is entirely up to you. You can still access the SCIC form without that. We just want to ensure that it's accessible and that you are not having to fill in multiple applications if that is applicable. So that's the online application. The second part is the one form. So this is a fillable PDF document that goes into more in depth regarding your child's needs. So this is also found on our site. It's password protected. So this is the password for you, support with a exclamation mark. The reason it's password protected is so that you're able to email it back to us at this email here, skic@cmhaww.ca. That way your child's information and your information is secure going through email. So forms, the one form can be completed ahead of time, but it's due by 3 days after your online application. And then for confirmation for your place, an email confirmation will be sent to the email that you use to register. And then your confirmation will state the week that is reserved for you, for your child, and at what camp. So that's the application portion. Going forward from there, we also offer a couple of meet and greet dates. So we encourage all families to meet with their SCIC support counselors, either in person or virtually, depending on what the summer is looking like in June, before their child's week of camp. That way your child and the support counselor know each other, so there's not unfamiliar faces the first day of camp, just to help everything go a little bit smoother. And then it also gives the support counselor a chance to ask you questions and learn about what adaptations or strategies work with your child. We will have 2 dates set aside in June, probably towards the end of June. One will be in Guelph and one will be in Fergus, and those dates will be sent out in May. I'm not 100% sure yet, depending on what June is going to look like. So in the past, this has typically been like a drop-in date where you come in, meet support counselors, mingle around. But last year, due to COVID protocols, we needed to do an appointment-based setting and have it much more structured. So whether it will be an appointment based, then we will have more communication about that, about what your time slot will be, about who your counselor will be, or whether we're able to do more of a drop-in setting. That would be preferable. We wanted it to be in person last year because I think it's so important for the children to be able to meet someone in person as opposed to virtually. Virtually is better than nothing, but it's always nice to be able to see someone in person. So prior to camp, we encourage you to connect with your support counselor, like I said, at the meet and greet. And if you're not able to make those 2 dates that are set aside, we'd encourage you and the support counselor to connect and set up a time that works for all of you. And let the SCIC coordinator, myself or Laura, know if your camp plans change. So if you decide to change camps but keep the same week of support, let us know to make sure that our support counselor is going to the correct camp, as well as if we need to change anything else on our end, or if you decide not to go to camp, etc. And then let the camp and the support counselor know of strategies that may be useful. And Cheryl really covered that with the About Me form. That's also available on the SCIC website if you would like to access that as well. And we encourage open and ongoing communication with the camp and SCIC counselors. The SCIC counselors do a great job of trying to connect with the parents every day or throughout the week, how the week is going, if anything has come up, and working towards making sure that everyone has a successful camp week. And then at the end of either your camp week or at the end of the summer, we send out camper and parent evaluations. So we love to hear from our families, and your feedback really helps our program run, and it helps us improve it for the next year. So here are some useful links. This is on our site down here, cmhaww.ca/SCIC. So under applying to SCIC, you will find a link to our online application. Right now, if you click that link, you'll just get a message saying that it's closed. Once it opens on April 1st, it will take you to the form that I showed you before. And then down here, you will have the one form, so that will open into the fillable PDF that you can download and email it into SCIC. If you're not able to fill it in online, or if you're not able to email it, feel free to print it off, fill it in by hand. You can drop it off at a CMHA office or fax it in. If you're having difficulty with that, please reach out and contact myself, and we can figure out how to pick up that form. Okay. And then once again, like I said, the program coordinator, myself, will contact the camp if it's one that we haven't worked with before. And if it's a camp that we haven't worked with before, that doesn't mean that we won't support the camp. It just means that we want to reach out to them and have a conversation with them. What is their setup? What is their philosophy towards inclusion? We just want to make sure that everyone is supported and has a successful week. Underneath the applying to SCIC, you'll find all of our forms here. So again, the online application and the one form. And again, this is password protected so that you're able to email it, and that all of your information stays confidential. We also have an email list new this year. So please feel free to fill in a form, the email distribution list, so that you can stay up to date about SCIC announcements and communication. And so we will update you about when registration opens and reminders, meet and greet schedule, and such. So in conclusion, we look forward to working with your family and supporting your child. And our goal is for everyone to have a fun, safe, and successful camp week. And please feel free to visit our site for more information and forms like I showed you. So my name is Jennifer Hughes Jaya. I'm currently the project coordinator. This is my contact information. There will be a change in coordinators in April. So this is the SCIC email. I know I have a long last name that is difficult to remember sometimes, but if you email SCIC@cmhaww.ca, I will receive it, and the new coordinator in April will receive it as well. So it won't go missing, and I'll be in contact with the new coordinator, so we'll make it as seamless as possible. Any questions? I'll turn it back over to Cheryl.
Okay, so this is the end of our formal part of our presentation. I think the key thing that I need to let you know is really register for your camp first, and then register for SCIC. Really critical as you're putting all the puzzle pieces together for your child's summer. I am going to stop the recording now.